All right, Ruben, today is a special day. Do you know why?
I do not.
Because we got new stuff coming in, baby. Here we go. This is from our pals at ToneShield.
Okay.
Sent us something hot off the press here, so let's take a look and see
Yeah.
what exactly we have. You're probably wondering, what is a ToneShield?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know already, you're about to find out. All right, hey. Got some stickers. We got our product, which comes in a nice bag.
Oh, that's a nice bag.
Yeah, it is. Let's see what we have inside the bag. That's what we all want to know about, right? This is the ToneShield V3.
Okay.
It's had a few different versions out there.
So if you're not familiar with ToneShield, essentially what it is, in a similar way to how you'd put the plexiglass around a drum kit, this you put in front of your amp, and it kind of reduces that speaker beam of straight up hitting the first person in the front row with
That's right.
with the sound of your amp.
So this is what we're working with here. Now the cool thing about this is, like Ruben said, it does help dissipate the sound of an electric guitar, or an amplifier, I should say. And you know, you've probably all been in that situation where you're front row of the concert, eye level with the amps, and you're just getting your face ripped off by the amps on the stage.
Yeah, man.
Especially if it's in like a small club, where amp sound in the room is more prevalent.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about the ToneShield is the design of this. You see how like it's kind of tilted in right here, right? So the idea is that piece is right in the middle of your speaker, and then what it does is it dissipates the sound up and also to the side. So you're not getting that that ear piercing like direct speaker in your face sound. But the other issue with that is it sounds a certain way when you're right in front of the speaker, but then off to the side it loses high end. It's muddy sounding.
Yeah.
So with ToneShield, the idea is you kind of balance those two things out. You get rid of the speaker beam, but also you get to enjoy like the nice present sound of the amp in the room at multiple places in the room. So it's not either or kind of situation. So really cool product. If you're running an amp like small combo amp or something like that, your sound man is going to love you.
You can tell that care went into that to make sure you still retain as much tone as possible.
Yeah, it's all about preserving that high end.
Yeah,
you want to preserve that high end, and that's why, like when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, so it's like a, like a cage,
right?
Like like a drum cage, but or an amplifier. But then when I started looking into it, I was like, no, wait, this is like a different thing, and it makes a lot of sense.
It does. Because
of some of those inherent limitations of like running your amp, facing directly forward. Some of you may be thinking, well, can I just tilt my amp backwards? But that doesn't solve the problem of the sound of the amp in the room.
Yeah.
You still are left with that, even if you do tilt it and point at your head. So what's the benefit of ToneShield over that kind of situation? And I think for me, it does help solve some of those issues with how those frequencies travel. One of the logistical considerations is miking the amp with this product in front of the speaker cabinet. You may use like a Sennheiser style microphone that's flat, so that way like putting
you
an
hang it off of,
SM57 in front of here, you're not going to have the room to do that. You're going to have to move the ToneShield back to be able to facilitate that. So something to think about. If you're small gig playing through an amp, especially like a small combo kind of situation, this is a really practical, useful tool.
Yeah. Like you said, if it's combo amp, if you're playing in small venues, a coffee shop, a club, or whatever, this will just help your amp feel a little less abrasive.
Yeah, and fill up the room more evenly. I think that's really the key, and that's the idea is like, we want to get the same guitar tone in the room as much as possible, not like, it's unbalanced because this person over here has a bunch of muddy lows and this person right in front of the speaker is getting their hair blown back, and so it's more balanced. I think it makes sense. It's a really, really interesting design, and it's kind of rad. Not gonna lie, man.
I like it. With the ToneShield, you get all the tone that you're expecting to the audience, but without punching them in the face.
Yeah. So hey, ToneShield, if you're running an amp, this could be a great tool for you. So go to the ToneShield website and check it out. Okay, let's talk about ToneShield's setup. First off, you can orient the bass in one of two ways. Either the legs facing the amp or away from the amp. I like to face them toward the amp, so when I'm done setting up, I can rest the legs underneath the amp for more stability. With a plexiglass, unfold it, rest it in the grooves on the top bar, and you can adjust the angle using the screw there. When you're done, slide the legs under the amp, and you are cooking. All right, well, that's it for another episode of Tone Nerds. Thank you guys for tuning in and checking out the ToneShield with us.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe to see what other stuff we're working on. We got a lot more gear that we're going to be demoing, so make sure you stay up to date on all of that, and we will see you guys next time.